Hey, welcome back to From the Roots Up, the podcast where we've been following Hickory FC, LR. We've been following football in Hickory for the last, 3 months, 4 months now. And we're excited tonight to have three of the media team here with us. First off, staff photographer Jackson. We've got staff photographer Allie. And we've got the CEO of social media, Sophia. Have them here tonight. Before we get started and dive into these questions, of course, I've got to thank our partners that allow us to do this. Of course, Barley Market. We're not there tonight, but got to thank Jeremy at Barley Market for allowing us to be there on a normal basis. I got to thank Jay Brown for letting us use his office this evening to do this podcast. Got to thank, of course, my man Lenny behind the camera for the production that you see. Wouldn't be able to do this without him. And, of course, Chris Vondrell at Vondrell Media for all of our graphics and photography that he normally does. So I guess, first off, welcome, Mr. Jackson. Glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Glad you're here and glad we can talk. And something that I'm interested in, obviously, I guess now that you could say that we're content creators, I'm excited to talk to other content creators, especially for my beloved Hickory FC. And I want to be part of that team. So, anyway, first question. What got you started shooting sports?
So my love for photography, not just sports, started in high school. The high school I went to in Hickory was named St. Stephen's High School, and I played some football there, and I mainly was a theater kid, actually. So when I was in theater, I was a year behind a guy named Irvin, who was to this day, still the best photographer I've ever met in my entire life. The guy is a phenomenal artist, and he kind of showed me the ways of photography. So whenever he graduated the year before I graduated, I was given the role in our theater program of leading up the photography for our shows and such. So as I graduated, I wanted to still be involved in the theater world and still be involved in the sports world. And the best way for me to do that was starting by doing photography. And starting back that, I started shooting local high school sports. A couple years into that, in the 2019 and 2020 range, I got involved with our local newspaper here in Hickory, the Hickory Daily Record. And that's where I kind of got my footing in the town, and I've been there with with them for 5 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting. Is that your love for photography? Is that something that has always been there? Or maybe something that kind of developed later on?
No, I used it as a utility to still stay around sports. Okay. Like sports and theater and the arts have been a really big part of my life. And, I never thought I was the best athlete, never thought I was the best actor. But the way that I thought I could still stay around was being a person that could capture those special moments.
Well, you've certainly done that with Hickory FC.
Thank you so much.
I think everybody would agree that the shots you create have been amazing, especially, as we all know this year with the success we've had this year. So it's been amazing to see. How long have you been shooting?
So like I said, I started my senior year of high school, which was been 2017. And like I was telling you guys off the camera before we started, I would say 2017 is when I started. I would say I didn't start making money until 2020. So, for those first couple years, I'm just a regular guy with a camera, walking around my old high school, telling people I'm going to make it one day. I'm going to be working for the newspaper. I'm going to be shooting for the Panthers one day. And people look at me, no, you're not. No, you're not. So then once you finally get your name in the newspaper, you start shooting for some bigger teams like LR and such. That's when they start being like, okay, you might actually make something of yourself. So 2020 is when I started making a little bit of money. And then I was fortunate enough to get this position with Hickory FC.
So you answered my next question about shooting prior to Hickory FC. But I guess to follow up on your comment about shooting for the Panthers, have you, based on your work with Hickory FC, have you had any contact with other teams that want your services or anybody else that might?
I mean, I've had people reach out, but the most important thing is looking for the right opportunity and looking for the place that would use those photos to make sure that my work and their values match what I'm looking for. So I've shot for the Hornets before.
Oh, wow.
I've shot some minor league baseball. The thing that I'm most proud of because one of the big things in Hickory is high school wrestling. There are a bunch of powerhouse wrestling schools in Catawba County. Probably the most proud thing I've ever shot is it's an event called Final X in Newark, New Jersey, where it's the last round before you make it the Olympic wrestling team. So I shot that in New Jersey in 2024. 2023, right before this past Olympics. So stuff like that, I love recognizing and highlighting sports that don't get the love. So Olympic wrestling for the men and the women is a sport that doesn't get a lot of coverage.
That's impressive that you were able to shoot something high, like elite, high quality like that. So how did the I guess your initial offer, or how did the opportunity with Hickory FC come about?
So Samuel Fisher, who's one of our staff people, he saw me working a lot at LR throughout the years. So whenever I started to get involved with LR in 2021, and I became one of their freelancers that they would call in case one of their staff people couldn't do the job. So Sam saw me work at a lot of the men's and women's soccer games at LR, and I had a conversation with him at a basketball game that LR was playing in, and he mentioned that he was working with Hickory FC. And Bryce Mitchell, who was the staff photographer the inaugural season, who is fantastic. She is awesome, does excellent work. He was saying that she's not sure if she was going to come back, so there'd be an opening for someone to lead the team there. And he had saw me work with some LR people before, and he saw the potential in me to be able to lead a group of photographers. So very thankful for Sam for seeing the potential in me.
Well, I think it's panned out pretty well for you, based on your work that you've done this season. What would you like with being shooting sports? What would be would you say is the toughest thing about, or there might be multiple things? What's the toughest thing about shooting sports?
So whenever you're shooting solo, for example, which is what I do most of the time when I'm going out for college football, you're going to get a shot list of what the schools want from you. So whenever this Hickory FC position arose for me, I wasn't sure how many people I was going to have to work with. So, for example, the way that I shoot Hickory FC is much different than I shoot a solo football game or just a solo soccer game. I'm going to be up and around and moving all around, trying to capture everything from every angle. I was very fortunate, very blessed that Hickory FC has an amazing community of people that wanted to come help. So you mentioned them earlier, Allie, Sophia, obviously the GOAT, Chris Vondrail, Bryson Smith, Ashton Burgess. These are just a couple people that are on our staff. It makes my job very easy when I have these people who can, all of the ideas that I have in my head, they can make that happen. So, for example, whenever we are coming towards one goal, I want to have two people on each side of the goal to catch that celebration. Also just gives me the opportunity to roam back and forth up that sideline just so I can capture more of the crowd, more of the coaches. So once you have an amazing staff that we have, I kind of just as one of the leads, I hate the thought of being somebody's boss. Just the thought, just being one of the leads that has multiple cameras, I can just roam back and forth, and that gives me the opportunity. Because, for example, whenever you're doing a solo game by yourself, you don't really have the opportunity to take those creative shots because you could miss the touchdown or miss the goal because you're wasting time doing the creative shots. So since I have such an amazing staff, it gave me the opportunity to go after those creative shots, which are some of the shots that I'm very proud of.
And I guess that kind of, and we talked before off camera, this particular question about the pressure of getting the perfect shot. And I guess having the staff that you have, and really, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say you or we as Hickory FC combined probably have the best photographers, I would say, in the nation.
I would agree with that, and it also shows how first class our organization is. So we went on many away matches where there'd be a person for a team who would be doing the live social media, who'd be doing the videography, who'd be doing the photography, who'd be doing the scoreboard. So there would be teams that they're stretched very thin.
Yeah.
So we're very lucky. We're very fortunate to have the amazing staff that we have. And obviously, big shout out to Ben Levinson, who absolutely murdered it this year as our videographer and who was assisting with social media as well. He was one of our returners from the original inaugural season, as well as Bryson Smith. So to have that, the shared vision from the first season to the second season, it made my job a lot easier, and just very fortunate to have all those people.
And shout out to Ben, because his hype videos, like, and especially, I mean, Martine was the one that said it, but watching what Martine said for the national championship, but just Ben's hype videos in general, like, it makes me want to get on the pitch and run through somebody. They're and I look forward to them, and I know other fans probably do too. His hype videos, they're just amazing. So shout out to Ben.
Absolutely, Ben is one of the best in the game right now.
Absolutely,
he's amazing. We're very lucky to have him. He documented the season like nobody else could. He was awesome.
Could not agree anymore. So I guess with since you've been doing it so long, you've got so much experience. If somebody, there's somebody that wants to get involved with sports photography or videography, what would be the advice that you might give somebody?
So the most important thing is, and you'll get started out probably at a high school stadium or a middle school stadium. One of the most important things is combating bad lighting. So at a high school stadium or a middle school stadium or even some college stadiums, you're going to run into a lot of bad lighting. And I can say personally that was my big problem when I first started out doing photography. It's working with that bad, terrible lighting and, just trying to work through that. So the best advice I could give anybody is don't go and break the bank on your first camera, especially because you might not be making money the first couple years doing this. I know my credit cards are very mad at me right now because when the season ended, I went and bought another camera body. I know my pockets are hurting very bad right now. So don't start buying expensive gear until you're making consistent money. But the number one thing I would tell people, and I tell this to everybody, just get out there and start doing it. I would do this for free. Like, it fills my heart. It makes me feel full at the end of the day, seeing these players across all sports, middle school, high school, college, professional, semi-pro, like Hickory FC. The joy that I see these guys have out of this and the joy that I see their families take. So we had many guys for Hickory FC who their families never saw them play. And one of the most important things I share with our staff is messages that we got from these guys saying that my family is in another country, but they were able to experience this season with us through our social media, through our photos, through our videos. So that's the thing that I would say is the most important thing. Just get out there and start shooting. And if you genuinely love it, you'll never work a day in your life.
And I think that's very important that you say that. Just do it, because I know, with this podcast, like, it's hard to take the risk to just do it. Like, you hear just do it, but sometimes I guess you can get in your own mind and in your own head and just talk yourself out of doing it. And that was my experience too with doing this, is just start, just let it go and see what happens. And it's been great so far. And I guess it would be the same way with photography and doing videography. What would be, like, if you had a dream event to shoot, what would that event be?
My goal has always been, so whenever I started doing this in 2017, I talked to my dad about it. My dad is a very artistic, creative person. And he just said, son, I want you to do one thing. He said, so that you feel accomplished at the end of all this. No matter if you do it for 6 months or you do it for the rest of your life, write down a list of what you want to accomplish. So I had this list, and it's from September 2017. I've crossed off everything on that list. The only thing I haven't crossed off is doing the Carolina Panthers. So I've crossed off everything on that list, and my staff can tell you that I still, at the end of every single Hickory FC game, I'm still down on myself. I'm just like, I got to do this better. I got to do that better. I was like, I'm a hack. Like, I'm not good at this, and I'm always like, I think that one of the owners one day is going to come down and be like, Jackson, get off the pitch. You're not good. It's just the imposter syndrome that I have. So one of the things I would just say most important is just setting goals for yourself. And I never thought within 20 years I was going to accomplish any of those goals. I was just thinking that, nobody's ever going to let me do this. They're going to see how bad I am. So the most important, I've already accomplished about everything I ever wanted to accomplish in shortly about 7-8 years. So it'd be like a Carolina Panthers game. is obviously a big one, but I'd say the biggest one is the Olympics, specifically some wrestling event, probably wrestling, basketball. The next biggest thing for me is always the next challenge.
Okay.
I want to do new sports because that's one of the most important things that I learned as I got started in this. I would ask for credentials for college things, and one of my mentors told me, ask for credentials for sports that don't get a lot of recognition. So that's how I kind of started with wrestling. That's how I kind of started with golf. How I started with some soccer teams around. So another piece of advice: just go where people aren't going to be there. Go where the other photographers aren't. That's what I tell our staff. I don't want to see two photographers sitting beside each other because that's an angle that we're missing.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, that makes perfect sense. So maybe not even, I guess I asked this question thinking about Hickory FC, but it doesn't have to be about Hickory FC specifically. But what's the most exciting, and you probably already answered it with the wrestling in New Jersey, but what's the most exciting game, sport, event, moment that you've shot so far?
Tomas Palaci versus App. The goal that he scored right there. I have been going to LR football games at Moretz Stadium, and before it was even Moretz Stadium, since 2006. I saw LR in 2013 in the national semifinal, punch their ticket to the national championship game. When they scored the touchdown to close that football game out, that I've never heard that stadium as loud in that moment. So I would say the picture that Chris Vondrell took of Diego with those two App guys, kneeling down, and I think that's the loudest I've ever heard Moretz Stadium get. And one of my goals was just to be a regular LR football photographer. So to be there for that moment, that's the most exciting, no doubt. And I've only been able to watch that video of the goal one time because it almost sent me to tears. Because it was such a meaningful moment, and it meant so much to me because, first of all, to see Diego get the assist and to see those guys go out there, they laid everything on the line that night. And once we got past that one, I just said, I don't know if anybody's going to stop us, and nobody did.
Yeah, I think that was the kind of the overall feeling for that, and I mean that's my moment of the season is that goal, and I've watched it way more than one time, just to hear how nuts we sound yelling and screaming on the stream. It was amazing. Well, Jackson, I appreciate you taking the time to be here and answering talking to me about what goes into photography, both with Hickory FC and off the pitch as well. So I really appreciate you taking the time to be here.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate you guys' support.
Absolutely. Next up on this episode of From the Roots Up, we've got staff photographer Allie.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. I appreciate you being here and taking the time. So I guess similar to Jackson, I like finding out about stories, everybody's story. So what got you into shooting sports?
So I had always grown up very close with my grandparents, but my granddad was the one who got me into photography. About a year ago, he kind of just handed me a camera and said, hey, let's do this. I joined the group that he was a part of. They have been very influential in all that I've done, but he is the one that got me into it, and I owe literally everything I have to him.
That's all. That's a great answer. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a particular moment that you can think of sports-wise and shooting sports that hooked you, that's this is what I want to do now?
So before I worked with Hickory FC, I worked with the Carolina Thunderbirds as a hockey team. And I think it was one of our playoff games. I was just sitting there. They scored. It was the game-winning goal. I think we were in triple overtime. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've got to do. We're doing this. I am dedicating all I have to this. And this is what I'm going to do my life with. That's awesome. And not only with them, but you've had plenty of experience with game-winning goals, Yes,
especially
definitely.
this season with Hickory. So that's amazing.
Yes.
So I guess you answered it kind of with your, when your grandparents gave you a camera, is that I guess since you got that, you fell in love with photography. Yeah. So, and not really something later. But I guess to follow up with that, how long have you been And you're a senior in high school, right?
Yes.
Okay. So how long have you been shooting?
Yeah, so a little over a year now.
Okay.
I started last year in about, I guess July, August. And so, yeah.
Wow, that's
Yes.
impressive. So like the
Thank you.
quality is like, I mean, you wouldn't think that you'd only been doing it for a year based
Yeah.
on, what's been posted on social
Yeah.
media. Shots are amazing.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. So you mentioned the hockey team. Is that the only thing you've done like sports wise previous to Hickory FC?
I've gotten to do a bunch of like freelance stuff. I've worked with Carolina Ascent, women's soccer, Charlotte Independence. I've done some rugby, baseball, the Kannapolis Cannonballers. But I'm kind of just been all over the place. But especially with Hickory, it was really nice to be able to settle down with the team and create that kind of community that we have in a media team.
And you've got, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have an amazing. Just like the team, just like the guys on the team themselves have a great camaraderie and
Yes.
great group. Everybody likes each other. It seems like you guys
Yeah.
are similar.
Our media team, I could go on. This is just an incredible group to be a part of. Everyone, we really feel like family. I feel like family. Sometimes in the field of photography, there's a sense of competition. Okay, who's going to be there and get the best shot? But I think with our group, it's really just work together and let's do this. And it's just become such a family.
And I think that, you can tell, I can certainly tell with, the content that's posted. And I think we mentioned it with Jackson. You guys, I think, in my opinion, are probably the best media team in the nation for any NPSL team. Probably even could go on to USL or, whatever other league you guys are. Hickory FC set a bar, all the way around, and you guys have certainly set a bar for the media.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
I could go on and I'm so grateful for this team. It has just been incredible to be a part of all this. And I hear people say it, and, that means the world for us, for me to hear. But we couldn't have done this without each other. So
that's awesome. So when you've been doing this a year, when do you plan your shots out, or do you just kind of, react to the moment?
So I think that is something specifically about our media team is we have a bunch of different types of people. So Jackson is okay, let's plan the shot. This is our shot list. I'm more kind of, okay, let's see what happens. There's no good way to predict a game of soccer. So let's just see what happens, see what shots we get. And I think that's what I focus on, just spur of the moment. Okay, we'll see what happens.
Okay. So this is I didn't have this question, but it just popped into my mind with, since we're involved with Chris Bondrell, he's told me how many shots he ends up with per game. On average, how many shots would you say that you take per Hickory FC match?
Probably upwards of 3,000-4,000-ish compared to see how the game goes, I guess. Jackson helped me with some math. I've shot about probably over 40,000 and edited 8,000 all season. So
wow, that's insane. Wow, I can't even comprehend the time involved with that.
A lot of time goes into this, but every second's worth it.
Well, and it shows. It definitely shows with the quality. So, and similar to what we asked Jackson, actually probably the same question. If haven't done it a year, fairly new to it, even though extremely talented, obviously. But if somebody coming behind you, sees your work and they're like, "That's what I want to do," what advice would you give somebody aspiring to be a photographer in general, but I guess specifically a sports photographer?
Yeah. I think it may sound very cliche, and it is, but truly, never give up, never stop pushing. It's going to be hard. Not all your days are going to be easy. There are going to be a lot of late nights. As Jackson said, you're not going to have a lot of money for cameras, but just keep pushing and find your hype person. That has been for me something. And our media team, Jackson, he's the one that's going to keep pushing me and tell me just don't stop, even though you're tired. So hype person and never give up.
Awesome. That's great advice. What would be, if you had the event, your dream event that you want to shoot, what would it be?
Probably a FIFA World Cup.
Well, you're going to have a shot.
I know.
Have you inquired about that
see.
at all?
No, not really.
Well,
I don't know. We'll see.
That would be amazing to be able to shoot. And I know they're going to have games in Atlanta, so it's fairly close.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, good luck. I hope you have that opportunity. What has been, and we talked to Jackson, my moment is the same. But what is your doesn't have to be Hickory FC, but what has been your most exciting moment, game, event that you've shot so far?
Tommy's goal. Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I genuinely will never forget that moment. Like, chills every time I watch the video. It was just so perfect. The crowd was so loud. Like, it was just, yeah.
It was amazing.
It was
And
incredible.
the pictures, like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's stuff that you would, I don't know what to say about it, but like the pictures you guys took are like, you would see it on, you should see it on walls. I mean, it truly is art.
Yeah.
Some of those pictures.
I know Jackson touched on it a little bit. Chris's picture of Diego, like that is probably one of the best pictures I've ever seen. For that, like, that is amazing. Yeah, it's incredible. And all of our staff got amazing pictures that game. Just memories.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And well, I guess you answered my question about that then, what your favorite picture is, and that's Chris's of Diego.
That's Chris's. I think of mine, so definitely the California trophy lift. That was
Perfect. What was it like being, I mean, you're doing this a year and you're already out in California with the squad and the team, like shooting a national championship and then winning the national championship?
I mean, there really aren't words. Like, I have a lot of people reminding me, like, this is something that not a lot of people get to experience, and I am so grateful that I can do this when I'm a senior in high school, when I'm 17, and just like jumping straight in and being with a club that's winning like this, like going to California, that's not something a lot of people could do. And I mean, it was just an incredible experience. Yeah.
I was 100% jealous.
Yes. It was, I mean, I will never forget that.
It was so amazing. And I remember watching when Tommy scored, watching
Yes.
y'all run out there on the field like, oh, my God, we got to get out there. He just scored. Because I don't think anybody necessarily, like,
No.
I think, who was it on the side? Was it Diego that put his hands up like he knew it was coming? I think it was Diego.
Yeah.
He was in his jacket.
I mean, I know I can speak for myself. I was just sitting there stressing. I was like, okay, kind of the last 10 minutes, we were all holding our breaths, and I was like, I still need to work, but I'm also in this for the game. Like, we were stressing. But we did a lot of running this year. It was, there's some funny videos.
Do you ever find yourself like, because I found myself on the stream, like, focusing on the game and not really focusing on like commentating on the stream. Did you find yourself like moments like, oh my gosh, I'm actually here to do something?
Yeah, I think definitely, like, I was good. I was pretty focused, and then California was just like, I was focused most of the game, but then toward the end there, I was like, this is the time to enjoy the moment, but also work.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Enjoy the moments.
Great insight from Allie.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate you being here and taking the time to tell us what it's like to be a staff photographer for Hickory FC and going to the national championship.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Yes,
for being
thank
here.
y'all so
Appreciate it.
much.
Absolutely. Next up on this episode of From the Roots Up, we've got the queen of social media for Hickory FC, Sophia. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time. So similar to what we've asked Jackson and Allie, like, what got you into shooting sports? I guess more video than photography. Is that right?
So I didn't really start. My first opportunity was with Hickory FC. And so I started watching sports. My dad and brother have loved soccer their whole life, so I've always grown up with sports. But I actually wanted to be a teacher. And then I was like, I don't know if this is right for me, if this is the right path for me. And so I was like, maybe I should try sports. And I've been a Charlotte FC fan since like the inaugural season. And I was like, I kind of like their Instagram and their TikTok, so maybe this is something I want to do. So I reached out to Jonathan, who has been a huge mentor and support for me. And I was like, is there any possibility that I could do this? And he was like, yeah, we can go for it. And so the first game, I remember I walked in, and Ben, who has been a huge inspiration to me, he said, here's the login, just go for it. And I was so nervous, and I just remember going on that field, and I was like, this is for me. This is what I want to do. And ever since then, I've loved it.
Well, I think that translates to what you post. I mean, everything is so, like, I think we might have talked about it on another podcast or another episode that, like, we feel like, especially, you know, for the national championship, like, we feel like we're there with the content you post. I mean, it's and I'll say it again, like, it's top notch. It's set a bar, you know, that I don't think anybody else in the nation will
couldn't have
be
done
able
it
to.
without everyone. This whole team is just a family, and we're all equal, and all do it together.
Absolutely, and that's awesome to hear. So and I think you touched on it there. that your love for video and social media probably wasn't there maybe at the beginning, but maybe kind of developed later on?
It kind of slowly developed. I started doing social media for Hickory FC, and then Ben was like, just go for a video, try and edit it, and I loved it ever since then. So I've slowly gone into editing and videos and still doing social media. So I love learning all the sides.
And to be clear, you're a senior in high school as well?
Yes, I'm a senior in high school.
Okay, because I know when we talked to Jonathan, he said, I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but he said, and our social media is being run by a senior at Tabernacle. I'm like, that's wild, yeah. Well, you're certainly talented at it, that's for sure.
You.
But how long, I guess, have you been? Is it just this year that you've been shooting?
Yeah, it's just this year. That first game is when I officially started doing social media, and that's the first opportunity I've had. I'm so grateful for it.
So not even a year.
No, it's only
been like a few months.
I started in May, so just a few months.
Wow. Well, and I think that speaks to, you mentioned Jonathan as a mentor, Jackson. Like, I think the quality, like, you wouldn't think that you'd only been doing it a few months.
Yeah, it's all because of them. They've taught me so much.
It's phenomenal to hear that not only do we have an amazing team on the pitch, we've got an amazing team doing social media. We've got everywhere there is a team with Hickory.
It's just
everybody.
all family.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear that, and that's why I would say that Hickory FC has been so successful. Is just everybody is so in it together.
Yeah.
So have you I guess maybe since you haven't shot before Hickory FC, did you might have mentioned it with Charlotte, you thought about doing it before,
Yeah, I thought about
right?
it. It was really it was the Charlotte FC game against Inter Miami, and I just remember this Kevin Vargas scoring, and I was like, I really enjoy getting goal content. And they had a TikTok page, and that's kind of what got me into it as well, is seeing, look at all these fun videos they get to do. This is something I would enjoy. And so it was really Charlotte FC, and then my brother who kind of showed me about Hickory FC, and ever since then, I've been a part of the team.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. So is there, in the short time that you've done this, and there's probably been a lot of opportunities throughout the season with how successful they've been. Is there a favorite type of shot that you or video or short reel that you like?
I would say I really like doing goal celebrations. I feel like it shows everyone's personality, and especially towards playoffs, everyone got to see everyone's personality, character, and they all at the end the group celebrations. I loved getting to see the family kind of bond we all have. And so celebrations, and then definitely on TikTok, we've just started doing player questions, and it was a great way to get to know people, learn about cultures, their families, and just silly little questions.
And I like that because that's kind of like whenever we have a player on, I always want to find out about, talking about Hickory FC is great, and talking about the season is cool, but I want, obviously I'm a super nerd, so I kind of know these guys backstories a little bit, but I want the I guess regular fan to know.
Just kind of know them on a human base level,
right,
personal level.
Right,
yeah.
It's great, and you've certainly had enough. You've certainly had plenty of goal celebrations to shoot
so
this
many.
year. Yeah, that's amazing. So with and it's great to see somebody like Jackson that's been doing it for a long time. Allie's been doing it for a year. You've been doing it for a few months. So if there's somebody coming behind you that wants to do this as well, and what advice would you give them so far?
I would say just to keep going. There's going to be people who don't support you in anything, and just to keep persevering and just know that you're on your right path. And it might be a slow path, and you might think it's the wrong path, but just to keep going and persevering. And there will be people out there, mentors like Jackson and Ben, to be there for you and just kind of support you throughout the way.
I couldn't agree more, especially doing this podcast, and I've experienced that too, so that's great advice. And I'll ask you the same thing I asked the other two. If you had a dream event, what would it be to shoot?
Okay, so my dad's a Manchester United fan.
Hey!
And I'm a Manchester City fan.
Oh, no, we got to stop.
I know, we got to
stop.
Stop the podcast. And I would love to do a derby where they play each other and just shoot, even just as a neutral party. And
Well,
just
you wouldn't be
see
neutral.
the action. No, I wouldn't. But attempt to be neutral and just kind of see the action in that, because the action in those games is crazy.
So you're going to be watching in 2 weeks?
Yes, I think the 14th or something.
Yeah.
Be
Go
crazy.
United, even though they're not doing well at all right now. That's okay. I don't know if I like you anymore. No, I'm just kidding. And it's probably might be the same as everybody else. But what's been your favorite moment, game, whatever? What's so far that you've shot?
I have two. I love Tommy's goal. It was just crazy. The crowd, the fans, everyone screaming. But also, I really enjoyed when the whistle blew at the final game in El Farolito, where you can just see the players rushing to each other, hugging each other. And that's just kind of where you got to see everyone's true emotions and personality. And you could really see the bond that we all have.
Yeah, that was I guess if there's a moment of the season, for me personally, it would be Tommy's. But seeing them win in the way that they won, you know, I know everybody was kind of up in arms about the final not being here, but I like the storyline of going out there and beating them. Taking it from them on their pitch. That was amazing, and you could see maybe not only the joy with the players, but just like,
yeah, they were at ease.
It's over. It's over. We got it. So that was amazing. So finally, is there maybe from that match, maybe from the app game, is there a moment in time that's been your favorite this season so far?
Probably in California. Definitely when the whistle blew and Tommy's goal in El Farolito also. Just seeing everyone run together and just the camaraderie that this team has. It's just crazy, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of it.
That's awesome. And I was supposed to go out there with Chris Vondrell, didn't make it, but I was super, super jealous of seeing all the pictures and everybody holding the trophy. And, oh, man, it would have been amazing to go out there. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to be here and be on the podcast. And I know I've said it, but you guys, you make us feel like we're there if we're not. The content you guys post is amazing, and we appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So for this episode of From the Roots Up, again, I'll thank the three for being here, the queen of social media, Miss Sophia Jackson, staff photographer, and staff photographer Allie. Thank them, so much for taking the time to be here. Go support them on their, particular pages on Instagram or Facebook, whatever it may be. Go support them, show them some love, because they've done an amazing job, and we'll see what happens next season. But again, I got to thank our partners for allowing us to do this. We couldn't do it without them. Jeremy at Barley Market, Jay Brown for letting us use his office tonight, my man Lenny, as always, and of course Chris Vondrell at Vondrell Media for all of our graphics. Really appreciate everything. I can't say that enough. So if you would please go like, comment, subscribe. Let's talk football. Let's talk content creation. I guess that's what we're doing now. So let's talk everything. And I guess, stay loud, stay proud, and keep growing from the roots up, as we all do, up the trees.